So, rain is no excuse. Okay, namaskar and good afternoon to everyone. It's a great pleasure to welcome Ambassador uh, of Federal Republic of Ethiopia, uh, Her Excellency Tizita Mulugeta, who has been in India as ambassador for almost 3 years now, little over 3 years. And she's also accredited to Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Thailand. Thank you, ma'am, for accepting our invitation. Just a brief introduction of her background. Before she joined the diplomatic service, she had served at Addis Ababa University for 17 years. So she is an academic, and she is a PhD in Sociology and Humanities from the University of Tromsø, Norway. And she has a high diploma in professional teaching from Addis Ababa University. And she has several publications to her credit, and published several of her reports have been published. And she has focused on a variety of issues, including gender and family, and yes, discourses in gender in Ethiopia. That's one of our books that was published in 2003. She has also worked on social and economic issues in Ethiopia. And I think I was reading her CV. Many of the issues that she has worked on in her academic career, they resonate with us, whether it's poverty, whether it's women, whether it's children, so it's a huge number of, and she has been in the university setup for many years, and she is now a leading diplomat of her country, so welcome to the VIF. The Vivekananda International Foundation is a private institution, a think tank. It was set up in 2010, so we are relatively young. We focus on a variety of issues of Indian foreign policy, national security, India's civilization, culture, and governance. And we are a small institution, not too very big. So some of our people are here, some are online. But we have a good network with leading experts in various areas. And many of them are associated with us in distinguished fellow capacity and so on. Today we have Ambassador Rajiv Bhatia. You spoke to him. Ambassador Anil Tribunayat is also a distinguished fellow here at the VIF, and he has been helping us with many of our programs, and particularly on West Asia, but he's also a deep knowledge about Africa. Lieutenant General Sani, he is one of the founders of this institution, and has been here and provides guidance. And he was the former deputy chief of the Indian Army. And we have Brigadier Vinod Anand, Group Captain Naval Jagota, and many of my young colleagues here. You met some of them here. Samir is our coordination point. He's an Africa expert, has lived in Africa. And he's the one who has taken initiative to start what we call the Africa Connect program. And this is, we hope to have discussions in this umbrella, maybe some publications and so on. And we very much hope that some African voices also are represented here. And we want to very much hear from leading politicians, academicians, entrepreneurs, and others from Africa. Because Africa is a dynamic continent. Every country is doing so well there. And India, Africa, of course, also has a history. So I think, so I'm very happy that this is the first meeting of Africa Connect, and we had the privilege of inviting you to, in a sense, inaugurate our Africa Connect. And I'm very happy to see Mr. Sevela Naik, who is the Joint Secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs, looking after Central and West Africa. And I'm so happy to see Mr. Egosha Asage from Nigeria. He had visited us some time ago, and we signed an MOU with his academy. And thank you very much, Mr. Asage, for joining us today. And we are carrying on some, we'll be having, I think, next month, a program with him. We will be discussing some India-Nigeria relations and also regional and global situation. So that's wonderful having me here. And I can also see Mr. Kenneth King, who is here. Welcome to you. So here we are. I think after this brief introductions, it's now my pleasure to invite the ambassador for her talk.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Arvind, for your kind introduction. Good afternoon, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really very much glad to have you all here today to hear about some issues, current situation in Ethiopia. And I just also want to say thank you for Vivekananda for organizing this special event. My embassy is always grateful to the support that we are getting from this think tank in different time on different issues. Whenever we have different issues to be published or to be presented or to share with, this think tank is always willing enough, and we're having a very good friendship with members, including Ambassador Anil. So I'm always grateful to kind support of the Vivekananda. Even I always consider to work more on different matter, and I'm really happy to see the establishment or the start of new issue on Africa. So I'm glad that Ethiopia is the first to start on to talk about some issue regarding what's going on in Ethiopia. And I hope this series will be consistent, and we are going to get a lot of voices from Africa, and we'll also try to contribute all our best. One of the reasons that today we wanted to say something about current situation of Ethiopia is that, and the future of India-Ethiopia relationship is that, as you all know, Ethiopia and India have been enjoying a very long years of relationship that extends more than 2 millennia, and our diplomatic relationship started just 1948. Just 1 year after the independence of India. So now we are celebrating our 75th years of diplomatic relationship, and Ethiopia is the first African country to start to open its embassy in India. And throughout all this time, we have been enjoying very cordial relationship in different terms, including social, cultural relation, education, health, investment, trade, and also development issues. So throughout all these years, we have been enjoying the support of India in different matters, including in international fora. So we are always grateful for the Indian government in that respect. While I'm going directly to the current situation of Ethiopia, you know, Ethiopia is also one of the fastest economic growing country in the region, and it has a lot of good things to share to the world, including being one of the country that has been working more in the peacekeeping activity in many parts of the world, and that is one of the country that has a member of League of Nations, the first African country to be a member of League of Nations, and one of the countries that initiated the establishment of African Union as a regional organization. And currently, African Union is located in the capital city of Ethiopia. So Ethiopia has been playing a very good role in terms of peace and security, maintaining peace and security in Africa and also in the world. But starting from the last 2 years, November 2020, Ethiopians' story about Ethiopia has been reported in it is not reported as it was supposed to be. And many of the reports that we have been listening from different international news media and some of the publication that we have been reading in different publications are sometimes contrary to what is happening in the country. So as an embassy located here, we want to share what are the real situations that are found in Ethiopia, what are the opportunities, what are the challenges, and what kind of support we are getting from the international community, including the government of India. Just to say a background regarding Ethiopia, Ethiopia is following a Federal Democratic Republic government, and it has 11 national regional states and 2 chartered cities. It is a population composed of 120 million people, which makes it the second populous country in Africa. And there are more than 90 ethnic groups and 80 languages in the country. When we come to the economy, agriculture dominates Ethiopian economy, followed by industry and services, and GDP is close to 115,000 USD billion. And the GDP growth has been growing more than 10% for the last 10 years, but starting from the last 3 years, it has been decreasing because of so many issues, and currently it is close to 6.3%. And Ethiopia has been ruled by the EPRDF for more than 27 years, starting from 1991 till 2018. And there was a coalition party of Tigray, Amhara, Oromia, and Southern Nation nationalities. And during the 27 years, TPLF, the Tigray People Liberation Front, was the dominant party of the country. But EPRDF, which was the coalition of the 4 regional states, was dissolved in 2019, and a new coalition party that we call Prosperity Party, which is composed of all the then existing 8 regional states, was formed in 2019. But TPLF, which has been the dominant party of the country, was refusing to be part of the Prosperity Party. So if we see what was happening after the establishment of Prosperity Party is that while TPLF refused to be a part of the Prosperity Party, during that time, Ethiopia was supposed to undertake its national election during 2019. But because of the pandemic, this election was postponed to 2020. But TPLF refused to accept the postponement of the election. So it decided to undertake its regional election in September 2020, which is against the parliament decision. So even if they undertook their election, it was not accepted by the government. Not only that, after undertaking their election, after 2 months, they attacked the Ethiopian National Defense Force, and they called it as a preemptive strike. Why it was a preemptive strike? Because they wanted to disarm and to neutralize the Northern Command Force, which has been there for 20 years, because Ethiopia was in no peace and no war situation with our neighbor, with Eritrea. So the highest number of armed forces was located in the northern part of Ethiopia. But in November 2020, they disarmed that National Defense Force. So, as a legitimate government, Ethiopian government was supposed to undertake a law enforcement operation to maintain rule of law and also to defend the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the country. So, the government put Mekelle, which is the capital city of the TPLF, under its control. It's also set up provisional government, and it has been there from November to June. So in June, the government decided to bring a unilateral ceasefire, and then the region become again under the the control of TPLF. But TPLF was never ready to accept the ceasefire. Rather, they keep on aggression and also coming down to Amhara and Afar region, which are neighboring region of the Tigrayan region. So they advanced into a neighboring region. They start to undertake a lot of looting. They also displaced thousands of people in Amhara and Afar regions, and they also did many kind of humanitarian violation, including different kind of massacres. But as the government was responsible, and as it was a legitimate government, the government decided to again to defend its sovereignty and territorial integrity. And while they were gradually coming down from the northern part to the central part of Ethiopia, in November 2021, Dr. Abiy Ahmed, he led the national troop to battle the TPLF. And it was for Ethiopia, that battle was an existential war, because the main intention of TPLF at that time was to topple down the government. And TPLF left all because of the battle that was led by His Excellency the Prime Minister of Ethiopia. Finally, TPLF retreated back to its place in Tigray region. So during that time, if you remember, almost all international news agencies, many big new international medias were talking as if Ethiopia is going to be, the government is going to be toppled down by TPLF. There is no peace and stability in the country, and so on. And many diplomatic missions have also left the country, and it was a kind of bad situation. It seems like that. But with the support of His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed, these people were again go back to their region, and the government started to provide all the necessary humanitarian access to the Tigrayan people. So within 1 year, a lot of humanitarian access, including food, non-food items, medicines, fertilizers, money, even oil, different kind were transported and given to the Tigrayan people, because they are still the people of Ethiopia, and Tigray is still part of Ethiopia. So these are like some of the amount of food and non-food items that were provided to that region during the last 1 year. But despite all the different efforts of the government, what was the response of the international community? When we see that African Union was there to represent its envoy for the Horn of Africa, His Excellency, the former president of Nigeria, to mediate the issue, and that was 100% accepted by the Ethiopian government. And the government was facilitating the travel of His Excellency, the former president of Nigeria, to the Tigrayan region, and that was accepted happily by the Ethiopian government. But even if during that time, even if the government declared the unilateral humanitarian ceasefire, most of international community didn't appreciate this fact. So this really helped TPLF to embolden itself and to push on its aggression. Even the international community never openly accused what has been done by TPLF. There was a lot of looting, there was aggression of humanitarian rights, there was rape and whatever kind of all humanitarian violation was happening in Amhara and Afar region, and many millions of people were displacing from one region to another. But it was not openly accused by the international community. Not only that, many of the humanitarian aid which was given to Tigrayan people with the help of international community were looted and also diverted. They were diverting to the militia of TPLF. But this was also never rejected by international community. In addition to that, TPLF was using young children, even old people above 60 years old, as a human shield to the war front. It was photographed and openly communicated to the international community. But we didn't see that much accusation or pressure on TPLF on this inhuman manner. Despite the different humanitarian access that was provided to that region, for instance, there was close to 6,631 trucks of gasoline oil were transported to that area. Among these trucks, 2,032 trucks has never been returned. Still, they are still kept in that specific region. And this was also reported to the international community, which was supposed to be like a concerned party. But this was also never been accused or was not. This really give TPLF to embolden its action from time to time. In addition to that, no one opposed TPLF when they were even blocking these humanitarian aid accesses. But on the contrary, the Ethiopian government was repeatedly accused as if blocking humanitarian aid. And many of international media was reported unconfirmed reports. So this thing from time to time aggravated the problem. Ethiopian government and also African Union still believe that this issue is an internal problem which can be dealt by internally and if possible with the mediation of African Union, rather as if it is a threat to an international peace and security. This issue has been on table on the United Nations Security Council for 6 times in a given year. So all these things embolden TPLF. It encourages to keep use, even children, uses old people, as I've said, as a humanitarian shield in the different conflict zone. But despite all these things, government of Ethiopia tried to provide all the necessary humanitarian access and also was ready for even peaceful solution of the problem. So during after January 2021, one of the big measures that was taken by the Ethiopian government was to release top leaders of TPLF from prison. It also lifts the states of emergency. And also it shows its willingness even for humanitarian truce, and also shows its interest for peaceful negotiation without any condition, because always TPLF raises different kind of conditions, unnecessary condition for peacefully resolving the problem. But for the sake of showing that how much the government of Ethiopia was ready for peacefully solving the problem, the government even go to the point to identify even who are member of this negotiating team. So this was led by our Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister. Despite that much initiation from the government of Ethiopia, TPLF was never been willing enough for peaceful negotiation. And when it was even expected or asked to provide who are member for this peaceful negotiation, they never showed any interest to give the list of name for this. Even they were not even happy for the mediation of African Union. Rather, they were looking for other mediators for the party. But as that was a problem of Africa, Ethiopia always shows its interest to solve the problem by African Union. So while the government of Ethiopia shows its willingness and readiness to solve this conflict and to continue its economic development, just 1 month before, after, by the way, there were like a kind of 5 months silence on the matter. After 5 months of silence, TPLF again started the third round of aggression in August 24, 2022. During this time, the government of Ethiopia was ready to negotiate, even expressed who are going to be member of this peaceful negotiators. But this fragile ceasefire stayed only for 5 months, and TPLF still continue to kill and to displace people of Ethiopia, especially from Afar and Amhara region, which are neighbors to the Tigray region. And it again keep on stealing some of humanitarian access, including close to 540 million liters of oil from World Health Organization and World Food Organization, sorry. And this was openly condemned by World Food Organization and some other international organization. But despite all these evil attempts, Ethiopian government is still committed to peacefully solving this conflict. But still, TPLF shows no sense of solving the problem peacefully. And the Ethiopian government is also ready to implement the recommendation of the joint investigation of human rights. And it is again showing its interest to solve the problem peacefully with the platform of African Union. But whatever, but as a legitimate government, I can say that the government has full responsibility to defend the sovereignty and territorial integrity. So the government is taking a counter-offensive attack against TPLF. So when we just see the current situation regarding how is like now the response of international community in this manner, even now what we are seeing is that the two parties are still considered as like equal stances. One is a government and one is just, it was even called a terrorist by the Parliament of Ethiopia. And sometimes some international news agencies called it rebels. But these two parties are still considered as unequal stances. And always the recommendation given by many international community is to solve the problem peacefully by the two parties, as if these are like equal stances. And this really still keeping TPLF to push its aggression. And many of international communities still considered the issue as an international matter, as despite it is being an internal problem. But still, the hope of Ethiopia is this international community will understand the problem. They understand how much TPLF is creating huge problem in the people of Ethiopia who are located in Tigray, Afar, Amhara, and other parts of the country. And they will consider how TPLF is a threat to the country and also Horn of Africa. And they will start to accuse or to stop the aggression of TPLF. And in this manner, when we see the position of India in this regard, we always show that India always follows a principled position, and it respects Ethiopian sovereignty and territorial integrity, and it considers the conflict as an internal issue, and it recommends the problem to be solved peacefully, and it also recommends the problem to be solved by the mediation of African Union. So whenever the issue is raised in either in UN Security Council or in the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva, India always stands next to Ethiopian position. So for this, Ethiopian government is always grateful to the support of Indian government and our cordial relationship. So when I see the future prospects with India, we still believe that, Ethiopia still believes that there is ample opportunities to cooperate well in the international fora, especially in the reform of United Nations. And there is also a big collaboration in different aspects, including education, health, investment, and trade. And still, we see that Ethiopia is one of investment destination of India, because currently we have more than 600 Indian companies which are operating in Ethiopia in different sectors. And India is also a good trade partner of Ethiopia. And for any transfer of technology, especially adaptable and affordable technologies, Ethiopia believes that India is one of the good destination. So these are like a good area of cooperation, which we believe will work together. Still, we are working, and which we would believe will work together in the future. While trying to do that, the Ethiopian government is also trying to protect its economy, diversifying the economy, especially in tourism and many other sector, and also working hard in the agricultural sector by especially through the intensification of production of wheat, while many countries are still suffering regarding the production of wheat as a result of international crisis. Ethiopian government is also trying all its best to produce its wheat, and also has a plan to export wheat starting from the next year. So not only that, recently the government has also undertaken different kind of reforms, especially opening up its telecom sector to foreign players. And just 2 weeks before, the government also opened its financial industry for foreign players, which we believe that this would give a big opportunity for Indian finance sector in banking and insurance to show and to share their expertise on the manner and to work with Ethiopian government. So generally, what I just want to say is that after the coming up of His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed in 2018, Ethiopia has exercising democracy in different ways, especially all regions started to exercise democracy. They become autonomous, and all regions are part of the dominant party of the country. And free media is there, and many new democratic instances are flourishing in the country. And the government is giving much priority to working in the development of its economy. And we hope that with the support of international partner, including India, Ethiopia would fulfill its plan of being one of developing world in or meeting it is a 10 years development plan as much as possible. So this looks like the general situation regarding the existing situation of Ethiopia. And I hope this really gives you at least some glances regarding what the situation, especially the Tigray conflict in the country looks like. And if you have any question on the issue, I think I'm ready to respond. Thank you. Thank you for your ears. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador, for that overview of the current situation in Ethiopia. And also, you touched upon the Indo-Ethiopian relations and their prospects. I think the talk was very useful to us because I think awareness about what's going on in Ethiopia is rather low. And you have very nicely explained the origins of the conflict and what the Ethiopian government is doing, and also given us some background to TPLF and what it stands for. Since it's an internal conflict, and I'm sure Ethiopian government will be able to handle it. But what happens is when, as we have seen in many other instances, there is always some external element involved, particularly in terms of assistance that is these rebel groups or militants or terrorists, whatever you call them, they are able to garner support from outside. So maybe you could touch upon a little bit about what are the TPLF's supports, what and where it's getting its money from, its arms from, and what is the support base in Africa and outside. So that's one question that I had. The second question is about India.